All right, so the season 3 finale of Special Forces, and some things went the way I expected, but mostly no. So let's start with Alana. I'm not surprised at all that she was the first to go. I was actually surprised she made it this far. Um, my mom was having a fit that she was volunteering information about her kids. But the fact of the matter is, you're supposed to establish a rapport. And she was asked about her family. So, on the one hand, I can see how that could be problematic in the real world where they might go after said family. But this is not the mob we're talking about. So, maybe not. So yeah, not surprised, but Irene really got her where she lived. You know, filling her with doubts about, you're a bad mom for leaving your kids. And, oof. Even the guys were like, oh, that is harsh. I mean, I just loved watching these really big, tough guys be like, ooh, yeah, that hurts. Um, yeah, Irene was vicious this season. She was absolutely vicious. She was far more vicious than when she asked if her lips were chapped. Far more vicious. So all the interrogators were the same from last season: Irene, John, and Dixie. Um, so Alana was quickly gone. And I also had to explain to my mom that the noises that they're hearing aren't specific to any one recruit. They all are hearing the same noises. So, because she thought that because of telling Irene about her kids, that caused her to hear a baby crying. No, no, that's not how this works. So, Golden was already starting to crack. I was surprised he lasted as long as he did. So the next person to go down, and this one shocked me because Cam was doing so well. He was, being calm, even though he was seriously being annoyed by Dixie. I think it was Dixie that was annoying him. And but he was being very polite, very, very nice. Um, it's just that having water dumped on his head while in a cage, he had enough. I mean, all he had to do was survive that and get to when his life was actually on the line. Because they even asked him, did you feel like your life was in danger? He's like, nah. So, I mean, it's obvious he just wanted to stop. He had enough. Because come on. So I was disappointed in Cam because he was doing so well. All he had to do was wait to admit when when his life felt in danger. And then there was Golden, who had the exact opposite problem. I don't know because he's used to having muscle memory or just going on automatic as a wide receiver, and it's like see ball, catch ball, avoid defenders, and he just disengaged his brain, but it's obvious he wasn't thinking. He Not only was he about to walk the plank. Actually, he did walk the plank. It was just a matter of him being thrown into the pool. He saw that Kayla's legs were tied to a cement block. So maybe these guys have been watching mob movies because what the hell? And that should have been his clue that even if my life isn't in danger, hers is, so maybe I should, speak for both of us or something. But no, he refused to say anything and he got pushed into the pool. He was so close. It's like he was just so out of it. Because, like I said, I think he shut off his brain, because so much of this has been physical up to this point that let's not engage the brain and just survive this. Especially considering the stress position and the headphones. So, his brain just didn't click on yet from that, and I was a bit disappointed. I was pleased at how far he got. And, the staff was, as usual, they were very pleased with, they were very complimentary, telling people that you did a great job. You didn't pass the course, but you did great. And I was more bummed about Cam because he was so close. And let's face it, I'm sure that, like I said last week when Cam ran at Rudy, and I'm sure what was going through Rudy's mind, even though he was padded, I'm sure he was like, oh, this is gonna suck. I'm sure he thought that. Because, Cam is a big guy. And so when Cam stood up in front of Dixie, I'm sure Dixie was like, even though they were in a controlled environment and the chances of Cam actually hurting Dixie was slim, that he wasn't going to lose control. But at the same time, I'm sure a part of him was like, okay, because he's a big guy, and let's face it, if he wanted to, because this wasn't a real interrogation, this was just a war game, Cam could have messed up Dixie. Let's just put it out there. Because, I'm sure Dixie knows how to take care of himself, don't get me wrong. But the element of surprise, because let's face it, you're not expecting the recruit to attack you. So that there must have been something going through his head, because Cam is a big guy. But so yeah, Cam really disappointed me. Brody, I felt like, the producers were like, okay, we have only 3 recruits left, so let's put their lives in danger now that Cam's gone. I doubt that's what happened, but it seemed like that. So, because first Brody, and he immediately was like, yeah, I'm part of Special Forces. And so he was the first to survive. And I expected him to survive till the end. What kind of surprised me, considering things got a bit wobbly towards the end, was Kayla. But at least she recognized, even though she spent the entire time freezing at interrogation, she recognized the danger. Maybe if they were more forceful with Golden, not just walking the plank, but that there was more to it, like tying his um tying his legs to a cement block or doing something more overt as opposed to, oh, I'm about to be pushed into a pool. Okay, cool. Because let's face it, in real life, it probably wouldn't be this pool that you could easily swim out of. But it mustn't have seemed like it was a danger, like with Brody. They were going to put him in a pool where once the cage was latched, he wouldn't have had room to breathe. He wouldn't have had room to lift up his head and breathe. So there was an actual life-threatening situation. Same thing with Kayla. The fact that she had a cement block tied to her legs and that they were going to push her into the pool, that was obvious. What they did with Golden was less obvious. I mean, the intent was there because they said, I don't know if they even said this is your last chance. Maybe they did. I don't remember. So it probably didn't click that they were threatening his life with this is your last chance, because it didn't seem like it was that bad because you're just being pushed into a pool. So I don't know if this was done so it was murky, so it wouldn't feel that way, so he would fail, or if it was just some people get that type of death of a situation where your life is on the line, but you have to pretend that because not really. So, yeah, maybe he would have realized the situation more so if they made it more obvious. Or, while he was waiting for staff to come see him, he specifically said, "Get me the fuck out of here." So it's entirely possible that he was just done, that his brain shut down because he just didn't want to deal with it anymore. That could be too. But yeah, it seemed weird that it seemed less obvious with Golden. And like I said, I was totally bummed about Cam because he was so close. All he had to do was survive this and see what they were going to do to him. They tied Kayla's legs. They made Golden walk the plank. What would they do to Cam? For one thing, how deep it was that damn pool, because again, Cam is really tall. So would they have given him, like Golden, something that, even though they said last chance, that it wasn't obvious that their life was on the line? Because, with Brody, like I said, it was obvious. With Kayla, it was obvious. I don't know what they would have had planned with Cam to get him to admit it if he, waited till his life was actually on the line. Maybe they decided to do that to Golden because, one football player stopped at annoyance. Maybe same thing will happen with Golden. I don't know. But yeah, that was disappointing. I mean, you could see the look on Billy's face when, especially Cam, when he gave in too early. He's like, oh, come on. They were amused when Golden's like, I can't believe I got pushed into a pool. So Kayla and Brody ended up surviving selection, which even though they say, oh, you've passed the course, but that doesn't mean you survived selection. And so part of you thinks, well, maybe because Kayla had problems towards the end, or maybe because Brody asked for directions like an absolute dumbass, that they might disqualify someone for that. But then you realize that that's just red tape, that's just for dramatics. They passed. So we have 2 recruits from this season. And I hope there's a season 4. My mom was like, oh, this wouldn't be as fun as it was the first time. I'm like, Mom, this is season 3. So, yeah, and I don't know if you guys can hear, but it's really, really windy here. So, yeah, I'm really curious if there's going to be a season 4 and who they're going to get. I don't know if they want to turn this into a rehab for actors who've done really mind-numbingly stupid shit. I'm looking at you, Shia LaBeouf, Ezra Miller, and Jonathan Majors. Even though in Jonathan Majors' case, I don't think he, should have been found guilty the way he was. But he obviously has anger issues. And what better way to knock that out than to do a training like this? Because especially during interrogation, your life is not your own. So it would behoove you to keep your anger to yourself. So, if they want to go in that direction, those are 3 actors who could probably use some help in that regard. As far as other potential contestants, they like to take from reality TV. And so since I'm less familiar with that, I don't know who they would want to grab from those people who've done the reality TV circuit. Because a lot of this involves, except for Carrie, who seemed to be totally fine, this a lot really involved people having to work through some stuff. So I don't know how many of those people would either want to be challenged like this, or who would or who feel like they need to work through some stuff. So I really can't say who else I would like. I mean, there are plenty of people I'd like to see. I don't know how many people would want to do this. Like, a lot of this a lot of special forces, a lot of the people who are there are concerned about the fear factor. I would love to see a diver do this course, simply because, especially the 10-meter divers, I guess cliff divers would work too. I'm not familiar with any famous cliff divers, but 10-meter divers as well, because they have an intimate relationship with fear. They fear heights, but it's not so much that they fear heights, but they respect it a lot, because they know what can happen if things go bad. So I would love to see some diver do this course. Let's see. Who else would I like to see? Um, hmm. Pretty much any prima donna I would love to see do this course. Let's see. Who else? I'm blanking on what other. I don't know if I'd want to see a I mean, there are certain people I'd love to see tortured, granted, but I don't know if I'd actually want to watch them week in and week out either. I really don't know who else I would like to see do this course. But yeah, those three actors would be interesting simply because I think it would be good for them. Even if they leave acting, well, Jonathan Majors has not, but it would be nice to see them grow as people so they wouldn't end up in the situations they were in. I'm really blanking on who else I would like to see do this show. Like I said, I would love to see divers because of the fear factor thing. Whether, I don't know how old, they'd like to go with the divers. I would like to see maybe a water polo player because those guys are strong. And especially for female water polo players, they generally, get drowned. But I think it's for both sexes that you have to worry about getting drowned by your opponent. So, to have someone with a skill set that, that they're not going to be as easily freaked out as some of these exercises. Let me think. I'm really not sure who else I would like to see. I'm sure that they'll get someone I'll be like, "Ooh, that'll be intriguing." But yeah, nobody else is coming to mind. Yeah, I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Who else I would want to specifically be in the show. But I do hope there is a season 4 because I do like this show. It is so much fun. And I think that the reason people like watching this show is because they get to see, especially if it's someone that they don't like, basically being tortured, especially towards the end. So yeah, I hope there's a season 4 and it will be interesting to see. Would I watch the show if it was just a bunch of unknowns, just a bunch of people like they would do on SAS Who Dares Wins? Absolutely. I would watch that show because this is such an intriguing show to see how everyday people can do that. But there's something about making celebrities go through this when this is so far out of their comfort zone and that they're used to being pampered because they're this celebrity or that celebrity, and then to suddenly go into a situation where nobody gives a shit about who you are. So yeah, I definitely hope there is a season 4, and hopefully I'll get notification of it, and if I do, I will definitely pass that along. So I believe with that, I will see you guys in the next video.